All right, hey y'all, Karma here. Happy full moon in Leo at 24 degrees. I know it's super late. I just woke up and I always do this on full moons and I can't sleep, so I figured I'd make a video. And you might hear my 80-pound lab in the back snoring, so don't mind that. So we have the sun opposing moon today. That is a very confrontational, intense transit. Your energy might feel really low right now. I mean, Mars is still retrograde, which is just feeling like so exhausted and like hard to stay motivated, you know, even if you are the most motivated person. Now, of course, every planet, every retrograde, every full moon is going to affect each individual differently, but there's still always a general theme or vibe. And this one is frustrating, illuminating, and even violent. It's going to feel like everyone's against one another right now. I mean, we also have the sun square Uranus as well as the moon square Uranus. The full moon is going to illuminate things that are going to be shocking and even reversals, because Uranus does represent like reversals in astrology, and it can represent the extremes. But having the sun square Uranus too, this is the first time I saw that. I knew the moon was going to square up to Uranus, but make sure it makes sense the sun will as well. This is like the men are the masculine energy is very much acting in a shocking manner. Doesn't surprise me that they're trying to take away a woman's right to vote if they don't have their last name from birth. And I'm just so grateful I didn't change my last name. But the moon square Uranus, that's the feminine, and there is going to be this radicalized revolution that happens. I think we all can feel the inevitability, at least in the West, but if you look at this is happening globally. But there definitely is like a buildup of a lot of change and a lot of intense energy right now. So just be prepared for whatever is going to come out, because this is a time when basically everything has to be broken down to be rebuilt in a more tangible and conducive manner collectively, but a lot in the United States, because I'm in the US, and so this is like the experience I'm having personally. But you know, you can just cut the tension with the knife right now. It's very, 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 very tense. Mars retrograde isn't helping, and it's going to go direct in the sign of Cancer on the 22nd. So again, I want to stress to y'all, please stay out of crowds in the days around the 22nd. I don't say that just like loosely. So Mars retrograde is a very frustrating, agitating time, but the days that planets go direct or retrograde, in my opinion, are the most profound and intense. So especially if it's your ruler, like Mercury retrogrades always beat me up, but I'm a Virgo rising, so Mercury's my ruler, right? That'd be true too if you were Gemini rising. But like, look to what your ruler is. The sun and the moon, thankfully. So if you're a Leo rising or a Cancer rising, your ruler doesn't go retrograde, so that's a blessing. So keep an eye on this full moon, because I do anticipate some very intense energy. I do believe on the 17th there is going to be a mass protest. So if that's next Monday. So if that's something that you want to do, you know, it's going to be at every state capital that day. But I think the greater part of it, this Pluto and Aquarius especially, is figuring out ways to involve community, but also to be self-sufficient, right? Like, how can we become more tied to the communication and the collective exchange rather than the separation that a lot of people feel, and that how they live, you know? So I think this is a very intense time, obviously, but you really have to wait and see. I do feel like some shocking revelations are going to come out. And I do think as Mars 22nd gets closer, and when I say the days around and whatever, you know, it's like, pay attention to the few days around that date. But that's going to be a very, very aggressive energy at that time. So just hold on to your hats right now, you guys, because this is entering into a new earth, right? And the best you can do right now is prepare and just make sure that you feel stable and secure the best that you can. You know, making sure you have all your documents in order, making sure you have a plan. Because if you just keep, and someone said this yesterday on a TikTok, and I totally feel like this is true for Americans. We've been traumatized so much that nothing really like phases us anymore. It's like, oh, mass pew pew. We're like, oh, that's sad. Next day, we move forward. And I'm not saying that that's appropriate, but I just feel like it's a trauma response when you've been traumatized so many times, you become desensitized. And so, you know, the biggest sense of protest and power that you have is with where you spend your money. Okay, so remember that. Like when you think, oh, my vote doesn't count, my thoughts don't count. Yes, they do. And your money counts more, because if you're buying from people that don't respect you or honor your values, you're not really honoring your own values. So in my opinion, that's a big part of this Pluto and Aquarius transit over the next 20 years. But I also think too that Mars retrograde right now, no matter how you look at it, it's going to feel frustrating. It's going to feel like, you know, the wheels are spinning in the mud or the snow and you can't get your car out. And the best you can do in those situations is, you know, just sit there and calm down, center yourself. If that means you have to go away for 3 days and go to the forest, that's okay. I think that maybe this is just in the West, but I feel like we have this concept that we always have to be on. We always have to be the best. We always have to be winning. I've been guilty of that in my life, and I just don't feel that way anymore. I feel like sometimes you have to go with the flow of life and kind of like look at what's happening and be like, all right, what's this here to teach me? And I personally think Pluto and Aquarius, this Mars retrograde, this full moon in Leo, squaring Uranus, it's about us really looking at the history, you know, and I think for a lot of people, they don't want to look at what's happened because it's very uncomfortable. But at the same time, that's what will set people free so we can do better as a collective and we can really unite with people and on a degree, you know, because Pluto and Aquarius really does want a collective output. But Pluto, again, is the great destroyer, and that's exactly what it's doing. So be careful this full moon, especially with Mars going direct. Take care, you guys.